Lawson, and he said, made a last-minute change to the car. His engineer, Neil, said, let's try something, and he said it was spot on. And I also have to say, once again, I think Lawson is one of the best in the paddock, period, at finding speed on cold, low-grip tires.
He is, certainly, but the car's got to be there with you. And we saw when Ian James, for example, when he started to push, the car got twitchy on him. So his car came to life. Unfortunately, he got that penalty for the contact with James Sofronis late in the going. So he would have finished runner-up, but he had to drop back into that position back late in the going.
You can see Lawson now picking up the pace a little bit as we are going to step away for just a moment. When we come back, we will have the start of round 4 of GTS here at the Pirelli World Challenge Grand Prix of Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Hello to everybody here that is watching on our web stream. Global coverage here on world-challenge.com. Great to have you with us. As always, we are in the midst of building our CBS Sports Network coverage, so there might be some times where we're laying out just a little bit, having conversations with producers and chatting just a little bit. Whenever we can, we'll certainly come back and visit with you. Just wanted to give you that heads up that every once in a while you're just going to listen to some car noise. And I don't know, I kind of enjoy that my own self, so I think that'll work for you here. But again, 2 formation laps, as you would expect, Cal. Again, you said track conditions a little bit different here. They haven't had a warm-up or any session like that. Good idea just to give them that second opportunity to just see what the track's like, make sure those Pirelli P0s and those brakes have some heat. Yeah,
for sure. And you saw Lawson harshing back through Moss Corner, kind of gab himself to the pace car there and have a bit of a charge through there, just to get a feel for what that car's going to feel like when he's doing it for real under green flag conditions.
One of the guys I think we're going to talk about when we get into the CBS Sports Show, but I just want to make sure we give him a nod right now. 2 guys, Fred Roberts in that drive from 18th to almost winning GTSA yesterday. Mark Lennon had to really find it at the end to hold him off. But Gar Robinson, this is very different equipment than anything he's ever driven, and he just seems to have adapted beautifully. Look at Fred. And that car, no ABS, no traction control, and he just gets up on the wheel and it flies.
And he should be in better shape here today because it was a little bit damp yesterday, so you would think that the cars that do have the electronic aids would have had an advantage. But it was a brilliant drive, almost stealth-like. He came from nowhere.
Exactly.
And next thing we knew that he was closing in on the leader, Mark Lennon, and chased him across the line.
How about this? Yesterday he started 18th overall. Today he starts 7th overall. So that, I mean, his speed during that charge was pretty substantial. All right, folks, we're going to pause. We will be back with our CBS Sports Network call. Thanks for tuning in. Lights are out of the pace car. It makes the move into pit lane. It's time to go green here for round 4 of Pirelli World Challenge GTS. Lawson Aschenbach in the Black Dog Speed Shop Camaro on the pole. To his left, that red Panos in the hands of Ian James. Then the 2 Mercedes AMG GT4 machines and a huge field behind. Here it's green. We are racing at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, and it looks like Ian James got the jump, timed it beautifully, Cal.
He really did. He went to accelerate, and Lawson didn't go with him, and he created a gap, and Ian James has got the lead of this race early.
And Jade Buford watched that gray PF Racing Mustang as the 2 Mercedes side by side. Shane Lewis trying to hang on in front of Gar Robinson. He is impressive.
Yeah, and Gar Robinson, his younger teammate, takes that third position. Shane then comes back and really close into the brake zone for turn 3.
Everything settles up, and then Buford right there, and then James Sofronis, who obviously is a huge player in terms of the points, sits in that 6th spot, and it looks like Mark Clennon was able to get around and take the lead in GTSA from Fred Roberts. There's the battle up into Moss.
Well, Ian James tried to make that move that Lawson was thinking about into 5B there. He thinks better of it on cold tyres. If there's a touch there, you're going to go for a ride. So Ian James, he's got to get that car settled in. We saw Lawson's car come to life yesterday. He's got to keep Lawson behind him and keep that track position early.
That's a good point. Ian James, pretty savvy racer. As Lawson looked to the outside after what happened yesterday, Ian knew he had to get something done early. Now Lawson going to try the outside in 8.
Wow.
What a move!
Wow. Caught the draft beautifully, got alongside and just laid it late on the brakes and got to the apex. That car is hooked up once again. Look at him go.
Through turn 10 onto the front straight. And once again, Lawson Aschenbach by the end of lap 1, even though he lost the lead at the start, back there in already 3 to 4 car lengths.
Yeah, he's taken off once again. I mean, yesterday's performance, we've seen him dominate championships, dominate races, but not to the extent he did here yesterday.
At one point, that lead was up to, what, almost 12 seconds, and then he let it trip back just a little bit late in the going, knowing what he had. And now Ian James, I think, we are going to see Gar Robinson maybe closing up here, because these two Mercedes AMGs, GT3s, with that 4-liter bi-turbo V8 proved to be very, very effective here. Talking to the team, they said it's very much a momentum car. That's what this track's all about.
It is, and for Gar Robinson, his very first visit to Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, and he's been doing a great job. He said Road Atlanta used to intimidate him. He said, I'm not scared of Road Atlanta after this place, and he's got to grips with it really quickly. We saw him at the back of that second pack. You had Lawson Aschenbach out front yesterday, and a big gaggle of cars battling out for the podium position. Gar Robinson was at the back of that pack, and we thought that maybe he had a bit more pace. Well, today he's showing that by getting the track position, and he's taken off from his teammate a little bit. Yeah,
just a superb run for a first visit here. Like you said, this guy has adapted beautifully, and this is some strange equipment for him too. He hasn't raced anything like this until this season, so he's doing an absolutely superb job. Behind him is teammate Shane Lewis, hugely experienced, as is the guy that's pressuring.
Got a big run.
Wow.
Yeah, Shane Lewis did not get through 210 effectively, and Buford just jumps on it. And he's a guy who's had so much success here. He swept both GTS races here last year. He's won before. He loves this racetrack. That car was developed by Multimatic. This is their home circuit.
You almost wonder, it looked almost like Shane Lewis got that curb a little bit, and that may still be a tad damp, and it may have just lit it up. He certainly lost drive for a second.
Yeah, he did. He just got through the apex with not enough speed, and Buford was not so tight to him. That allowed Buford still to get through the corner at his own speed and then take advantage down the front stretch.
And now for Shane Lewis, he looks in his mirrors and he sees overall combined point leader James Sofronis in the Global Motorsports Group 511 Tactical Audi. He is racing this year right on the rear deck now as they come up out of Moss. Oh, Sofronis is in great spot here, back in that battle for 5th for a run. Yeah, and that Audi's got good straightaway speed, so he tucks out of the draft there. Can he get alongside and make a similar move to what we saw Aschenbach do on James on the opening lap? See, he's got the outside. We'll see if he's able to pull it off up in turn 8. And similar move around the outside. I'll tell you, two veterans have pulled off that move just absolutely cleanly. That was really tight, and for James Sofronis, he has to look ahead and realize that Lawson Aschenbach is leading this motor race. There's two championships going on here, Greg. Lawson Aschenbach is dominating the sprint race format, but overall, when you combine it with Sprint X, James Sofronis leads that. That lead was eaten into yesterday with Aschenbach winning, and if he does the same again today, it's going to be very tight at the end of the day. We're watching Fred Roberts, the local hero. Not a lot of laps here at this track. And look at this, though. It's the guy in front, his teammate, Jeff Courtney, who had a big off in qualifying and came back with a solid run. He's gone around Fred and has been attacking now on leader James Clennon. There's a look at Drew Stavely, and this is a big story. He's our Optima Batteries Best Start Award winner. He started, Cal, back in the 17th spot. He is currently running 12th. That's 5 spots he came up and sits 4th in GTSA, and that's crucial. He didn't have a great race yesterday, and he's in that points top 3. Yeah, and importantly, he's got Gaples and Mike Hedlund, who sit just 4 points behind him in the championship, behind him on the racetrack right now. And that's what it becomes. It's like almost match playing golf. It's mano against mano there in terms of thinking about what your nearest competitor is doing on the day. There's Clennon in that orange-blue hooded McLaren leading it. Going back just a little bit, watching some of the field come through. There is the number 51, Preston Calvert, teammate to Ian James up front. And boy, it is James Sofronis who's on the move.
Late move there into turn 9. That was risky business right there. Sofronis has got fired up. His car has come to life. The GMG Audi is making some moves.
I thought he might try and just stuff it down the inside there, but he may be looking at, you can make that move into turn 10 if you time it right, and that may be something he's exploring. Where can he get around the very experienced Jay Buford in that gray PF Racing Mustang? That is an absolutely stellar battle right now for fourth. Up front, Aschenbach, James, and Robinson continue to lead overall, and in GTS and in GTSA, Clennon hangs on over the two Maseratis of Jeff Courtney and Fred Roberts. All right, back with you here on the web as we're paused for our CBS Sports Network show. And this is going to be an interesting battle here. And look at this. I mean, Lawson has gone to the front, but he hasn't absolutely dropped James. James is staying right there.
Yeah, and James just laid down the fastest lap of the race. There's only 0.04 of a second quicker than Lawson, but that's very telltale right there, because yesterday Lawson just kept going and going and going at a fastest lap by nearly a second. Today, James has the same pace.
I think this GTS field's got to be a little concerned, because you think about last year, brand new program for the Panos Avizano, struggled early, and then James reeled off, 6 straight wins it's at one point, or 6 total, and he's found speed here, and this could be a real portent of what the rest of the season could be.
It could, and we saw yesterday that Lawson had the speed early and maintained that and kept gap, and the rest of the field, and then just settled in and managed the race at that point. So if there was a late caution, he had some tires left on that Camaro, but Ian James today is showcasing, like, listen, I wanted to get the lead. You kind of blew by me down the straightaway and got that position into turn 8, but I've got the pace to give you a hard time here.
Boy, two veterans, so much savvy on the racetrack. Just enjoy to watch them run, and they are now opening that margin up. It's 5 seconds at this point. Back to Gar Robinson in third from Lawson, Aschenbach, Buford fourth, Sofronis fifth. And that Panos just looks planted.
Yeah, a little bit of understeer there. I think he tries to carry too much speed through 5B there and push wide just a little bit. The problem he's going to have, I mean, roles are reversed. He's going to get the draft effect on Lawson, where Lawson had it on him to take the position on that opening lap. But the problem's going to be, where does he find a way to get around Lawson Aschenbach? You know how well Lawson can manage a race from the front, but he saw this a lot last year. They had an intense battle through the summer months of the season in 2017.
Well, and one thing about this track is not the easiest place to pass on, because it's so momentum and rhythm.
It is, and we saw Ian James work really hard to make a move on James Sofronis yesterday late in the going. Ultimately, there was a little bit of contact, and the driver steward said that Ian had to give the position back. The problem for Ian James was he was now running in second. Sofronis was back in fifth, so it cost Ian James a bundle of points there to give that position back.
Great shot there, coming over the rise and then plummeting down the hill into turn 2. And you heard Michael Christensen in the Porsche track preview reference that right as you come over that rise is where you want to start turning. So placement blind on the approach is everything. As always, these weekends are doubleheader races. There was a fabulous race that unfolded in cool, damp conditions for race 1. It started with the normal rush down into turn 1, and for Lawson Aschenbach starting third, some amazing moves.
He was a man on a mission yesterday. He had the grip that Camaro, and there you see Ian James bobbles in turn 2. Lawson was never to be headed for the rest of the day.
And the battling was absolutely fierce. Jay Buford, Ian James. This battle for the podium stayed intense, maybe too intense.
It did. Ian James makes that move to the inside of James Sofronis into Moss corner. Contact. Ultimately, he had to give that position back.
And as they come up into turn 8, after that, you see bits and pieces coming off of the bodywork for James Sifronis, and his teammate, talking about James' teammate, Preston Calvert at GTSA, getting into Vinny Alagretta in the last corner on the way to the checkers. But at the checkers up front, all Lawson Aschenbach.
Well, from turn 2 of the opening lap, no one saw Lawson Aschenbach for the rest of the day.
And at GTSA, this was the battle to the checkered flag. Local hero Fred Roberts just missing. And it was Mark Clennon right here in his McLaren on the podium. Long and sought and well-earned. And he reveled in the moment. And for Lawson Aschenbach, he also enjoyed his moment on the podium. And as he got out of the car, Superman, baby.
Yeah, that was a dominant performance like we've never seen from him, but today it is a different story.
It is indeed, although he is up front at this stage. But take a look at this race here. Clennon hanging on to the lead, but Jeff Courtney right behind him. He's the team principal of JCR Motorsports in the black Maserati. And Fred Roberts, who had that amazing race to second yesterday, the local hero from Toronto, well, he's got the run going here, and Pilar has found the team.
Yes, guys, I'm here in the pits with Dougie Livingston. You guys are kicking butt right now in your Maseratis. They're definitely moving fast. What's going to be your strategy for the rest of the race?
The big thing is we don't overdrive, and we just stay where we're at. I mean, Mark's running a really great race. We've just got to stay in front of him and do what we got to do. I mean, this is Fred's home track, so he's doing a great job. He came in P2 yesterday, so we're really excited to be here, and we're having a great race.
Thanks so much, Dougie.
Thank you.
Well, just go fast. I like that. And I'll tell you what, I'm impressed with what we're seeing from Jeff Courtney, because underneath that pretty bumper on the back of that car, the subframe, he had a big off in qualifying, and they literally had the thing hooked up to a car pulling the bodywork out, hitting it with sledgehammers to get that to fit. But they obviously got that car true.
They certainly did, because both of those cars are running very strong in these much better conditions here today. But Mark Clennon, that win yesterday, his first in Pirelli World Challenge competition, will give him a lot of confidence. He's got a veteran, a Trans Am vet, GT vet, Stu Hayner on his radio, coaching him this weekend and giving him advice. And recently, Mark Clennon has been on the simulator, and they detected something about where he was looking. He wasn't looking far enough down the road. He's making that adjustment, and he said it's all about the process.
Clearly, he's never taken a Calvin Fish instructed racing school. Eyes up, eyes up. Hear that a lot. Here's a look at Lawson Aschenbach and continuing to lead. And James had closed it up to within, 2 or 3 car lengths, and now Lawson has been able to ease away just a little bit. Last laps, Lawson just about 3/10 quicker than James at that point. And in that battle for GTSA that we are looking at, Fred Roberts is going to have himself a handful, I think, because Harry Gottsacker running 7th in pro right now, but back in the 10th overall spot in that red 69 Sin GT. There it is, right there, that prototypical looking machine. He's starting to really get some speed up, and we've had to change Courtney to the lead.
Yeah, Courtney's got a run, Clennon now, and Fred Roberts has got a run on that McLaren as well. So JCR run 1st and 3rd right now.
I wonder if Stu, you talked about with Clennon, and here he comes up, but it's got the long way to go. So close a touch.
Wow, that is a wild move there. Just a little brush between the 2 cars on the approach to turn 2. Roberts had 2 wheels in the right side in the dirt there, hangs onto it nicely. That was nearly, we talk about consequences around this racetrack. That's what you're talking about, these high-speed corners.
Yeah, that could have been catastrophic, and a great save by Fred Roberts, but it did allow Harry Gottsacker through, and it almost let Tony Gaples come up and sneak through. Tony recognized, no, he might have some mess on those tires. You don't want to get caught up in something, and Tony's experience said back off a little bit. But Harry Gottsacker in that red Sin, he said, if this is dry here, this car, as we know from what Jade Buford did in it last year, has serious pace around here.
It really doesn't. Stavely's got a big run on Tony Gaples there. He got out of Moss Corner very effectively. He's trying to pull the draft on the Camaro as they crest the hill, heading up the Mario Andretti straightaway. Gaples doing a tremendous job. He's focused this year. He's been in the gym. He's lost a lot of weight, and his performances are showing that dedication.
Able to hang on over Stavely on that run. And, that's the look that we were talking about. You got to be all the way alongside to make it work.
Watch Roberts. He's going to get a run.
Yep.
Gottsacker's line was compromised there on the front straightaway. That's the problem. If you look inside and you don't get it done, suddenly you can be a sitting duck. He immediately defended. He was proactive in that and not reacting to Fred getting the run on him, so the steward should be okay with it. What a corner that is. The camera just does not do that corner justice, just like you're falling off the edge of the earth. There's Gottsacker, a late move to the inside. I'm not sure that Clennon saw him there. They almost touch. Wow, Wow, that is wild stuff there as they head through turn 3 and plummet down the hill through that fast left-hand sweep of turn 4.
Yeah, I think that the wiggle by Clennon, he is really pushing that McLaren.
He is hanging on. He is literally hanging on for dear life right now.
Wide.
Opens the door. Gottsacker fills it.
And Roberts is going to get a run as well. They're going to be side by side as they make that little left kink.
Oh, he's got to give him room. Got to give him room. You just got to be respectful, and I think Fred just gave him a little...
how do you do?
Yeah. Like, come on, mate, give me some room here.
Yeah, well, after that contact going up into 2, I think that was...
Gaples to the inside, a late move. Glennon's got to have his eyes wide open all around this race car right now because he is under attack. Stavely going to make a move. Brilliant. That was awesome.
Yeah, that was executed beautifully. He was watching what was unfolding in front of him, read it, said opportunity.
And look at Preston Calvert. He's in the mix. He now makes a run on Tony Gaples. So you have a little bobble here. You just get eaten alive. So Tony Gaples has now got to regroup. He was trying to make some moves there on Clennon. He was thwarted with that. Stavely took advantage. He didn't get the exit speed on the front straightaway, and Preston Calvert pounced.
Great racing in GTS, but as we said at the very top of the show, this GTSA race has the promise of being furious. It has been exactly that. We're going to sneak away for just a moment here, but we'll be right back with more from our GTS Championships Round 4 here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Boy, I'll tell you, we're seeing a lot unfold here, Cal, with this GTSA battle. Drew Stavely, whatever it was, he hasn't been quick at all until this race. They found something, made some sort of a change, and he's flying, and he needs to in terms of his points, but this is just fierce.
It really is, and it's great. That's exactly how racing should be in terms of consequences. This racetrack has consequences, and when you're in a fierce battle, if you make a decision and it's not the right one, guess what? You're going to lose a position there. Clennon now trying to regroup. That McLaren looks to be a little bit of a handful here today in these conditions, so the track conditions have changed a little bit. Doesn't look like he has the same balance that he had yesterday. Just needs to settle down again. Get Stu Hayner on that radio. Just settle in. Hit your marks. Regroup, find your rhythm.
One of the problems that can happen is if you get off rhythm, you start overdriving the car, you can take too much out of the tires, and then it's just sort of a domino effect. Yeah, you just keep getting slower because the tires are over.
Absolutely, it just snowballs on you, and a great performance here by Preston Calvert. Oh, look at that slide, and nice catch by Mark Clennon. That is wild stuff, up over that crest. Woo!
And that was one of those saves where you needed to have slow hands on the wheel for the save. You overreact and snap that. The car just pivots and turns right into the wall there, too. That was a great save, but it cost him momentum.
It did, and that's change of the underpants stuff right there, Greg. I mean, that will get you their attention.
Preston Calvert going, all right, I need to attack, because obviously that car, as you said, a bit of a handful for yesterday's Round 3 GTSA class winner. And Preston Calvert, tell you what, he has really been impressive here this weekend.
He has. I mean, he's really learning a lot this year. I think he's got a great teammate in Ian James. I think they both like the same setup on the car. So if Ian starts to make some tweaks with the more experience that he has, they can then be transferred onto Preston's car, and he's going to get the benefit of it also.
Yeah, neurologist and an ophtho-neurologist, or a neuro-ophthalmologist is actually the more appropriate way to say it. And he's done a lot here working with the series on concussion protocol that has really stepped up the safety level of concussion recognition here in this championship. So he's a very, very integral part of this championship right now. And Clennon, a little late on that turn in, but it worked. He got it down to the apex. Just interesting to see the different lines.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, he's just taking that wider approach. You just got to watch out. You just got to be on line around this racetrack. You got to be so precise. It's so technical. Because if you crest these hills in the wrong place, suddenly you got to lift out. You can throw a lot of weight transfer forward in the car, and you'll be going sideways.
There's Courtney in that black 99. Look at this. Calvert alongside.
Preston looks down to the inside, has to give it up as the rest of the field head down through Moss Corner.
Well, that's the issue there. Preston tried that move, had to check up just a little bit, loses ground to Clennon, and has suddenly Gaples all over the back of him. That's the momentum nature here, isn't it?
It really is. It can certainly hurt you if you get too aggressive with the moves. So Gaples down in the 6th position, Stavely in 3rd. Mike Headland runs in the 7th position. So again, coming into this race today, Gaples and Headland had closed that gap on Staley to 3 points in GTSA. He's going to extend it if he can continue the run he's having. Great run for Ian Lacey Racing, regrouping with that race car.
And the attack by Gottsacker, that's his 4 overall position. They're in different classes, and he had to tighten up to get in there. Didn't get that pass quite done, and that allowed, once again, Courtney in that 99 X Analytics Maserati to get back in front.
Well, it's a tough one for Jeff Courtney. It's really not a battle for the class win because he's not competing against Harry Gottsacker. But he doesn't want to give it up and then be stymied behind him. So tough call. And you can see Fred Roberts and Stabley are right there. So if he tries to give him the position, he's going to have those guys right on his rear bumper as well.
And Staveley's finding more and more pace, it seems, with every lap, Cal. He is just attacking right now on Roberts. He's looking in, looking out. And definitely that Janetta from Ian Lacey Racing. Nice light car, very responsive. And right now, Drew Staveley, they found whatever the issue was, and he is booking.
I think that Sin that Gottsacker's driving will have a lot more pace potentially if he can just clear this traffic and start to lay down his lap times. We saw what Jake Buford was able to do with it last year, dominant here.
Jeff Courtney continues to lead in GTSA here in that black X Analytics number 99. Jeff Courtney racing Maserati. Right behind him is a car that runs in the pro category. That's Harry Gottsacker, and Harry wants by in a big hurry. Ooh, and he actually got Courtney offline just a little bit. This might be his opportunity, and Courtney doesn't want to let his teammate Fred Roberts slide through.
No, he's just got to tuck in there. I think it just caught Jeff Courtney's eye in his rearview mirror probably. Saw that Gottsacker looked to the inside. He just missed his turning point a little bit and lost a bit of momentum onto this front straightaway. But this could be good news. If Gottsacker can gap this group, it will allow Jeff Courtney to now just focus on his own race. Staveley, he has got a lot of pace here today. Just got to be patient with it. Don't force the issue. Take advantage when you can.
Roberts, so impressive yesterday, doing a nice job today. Again, in front of the hometown crowd, obviously. And Mark Clennon, who had that great run to the win yesterday and is sliding backward just a little bit because the car just seems to be sliding a little bit. See if Pilar Lastra down in the pits has anything from the team on what might be happening. Pilar?
I am here with Jackson Stewart, team manager. Jackson, is there something about the weather that you feel is changing your game plan today?
Well, yesterday's qualifying and race were in damp or rainy conditions. Those conditions really suit the McLaren. Today it's dry. Driver's having a little bit of struggle keeping pace with the other cars that he's running with. So maybe we're hoping for a little bit of moisture to show up.
Thanks so much, Jackson.
All right, well, obviously you want what the conditions work for you here. And sometimes you make a change anticipating what's going to happen, and it's not quite right. And then you find yourself struggling a little bit during the race as well.
Yeah, for sure. Certainly some cars are better in the wet than others, and some of it's just the setup that you put on the car. Typically in the wet, you're going to try and make the car more compliant. You're going to soften off the car maybe with the spring rates or with the roll bars and what have you, geometry even if you have enough time. But that will not play into your hands when you get a full track because you can need a stiffer platform. You need to maintain that contact patch with these Pirelli P0s.
Boy, and look at these two guys, Lawson Aschenbach and the number 1 Black Dog Camaro, Ian James, and the number 50 Panos Motorsports Avezzano GT. Their margin now back to Robinson sitting in third, 16 seconds. These two pros have just checked out into another world right now.
Well, pretty much Lawson's doing to the majority of the field what he did yesterday. The difference is there's been an adjustment on that Panos because he's hanging with him today. Absolutely,
and if you recall, he had a big lead yesterday, and then that gap came down. Now, that could have well been lost in managing tires, but if Ian's that close, Cal, he can't do that today.
He cannot do that. His hand is being forced a little bit. So when we get the last 10 minutes of this race, it could be game on, but you never know how much Ian has taken out of his tires. So it's a chess match.
That it is. Robinson still sitting in third. Buford and Sofronis round out the top 5 overall in the category here. And then that great battle in GTSA continues as well, but it's just really a joy to watch these two guys drive and put on an absolute clinic like this and doing it with just a car length separator.
Yeah, it's very tight, and it's also really tight looking at the timing and scoring between Gar Robinson and Buford. They're only a few tenths between each other, so big battle for that final podium spot. But you could see up the straightaway with that move that Lawson Archer made. Been some adjustments on that Camaro over the last 12 months. Remember early last year, they didn't have the straightaway speed, and what the regulations allow, different restrictors, different weights on the car, trying to adjust to make it an even table for everyone. But this year, talking to Lawson this weekend, he said, yes, I'd like a little bit more, but he said, we're not as poor as we were last year. Here's this battle for third.
This is fierce stuff. That is Gar Robinson and that beautiful livery, that white, orange, and I just can't describe the blue, but it is gorgeous on that Mercedes. And Jade Buford. Jade was awfully fast in one of the dry practice sessions here. Not a surprise to see him quick. I think it's a bit of a surprise to maybe not see him up with those other two guys, actually, but they're in a great battle.
They really are. And through those final couple of corners, you can see there he kind of lost half a car length to a car length on Gar Robinson through that sequence there. Just seemed the front end on that Mustang. Quick change of direction is a little bit lazier than some of the other cars. So I'm sure that's an adjustment they made yesterday. Maybe they were set up for the car being, you know, more compliant. What we talked about a little bit earlier about softening off a little bit. That doesn't give you the sharpness in the response you're looking for in these dry conditions.
Two very different lines through turn two we just saw. You saw Robinson really float the car out, and you saw Jade Buford really tight, about middle of the track all the way through there. Is that just, that's what the car's giving you right now?
It can certainly be that, what the handling will be like. And for Gar, first time here, he maybe doesn't know any better. You're out in the danger zone out there.
That's
a little bit wide there, Gar. Missed the apex a little bit. He's got to stay focused here. Big day for him, big weekend. I knew he'd gain confidence with that run he had yesterday.
I like that line. He just may not know any better yet. He loves that track. You see behind these two, James Safronis sitting right there in fifth. That's always going to have big implications on the points at this stage. And oh, look at this, Gar protecting a little down into turn 8.
You're certainly entitled to do that. Oh, Clennon. Huge incident here. This is exiting turn 1, correct?
I think it's 3.
Oh, it's 3. You're right. Yeah. It looks like he just dropped a wheel.
Yep. You can see it coming across.
Yep.
We've seen that happen a few times here. That's one of the incidents that happens at turn 3 is you drop it off and you come right back across the track. And big impact. So obviously we have a full course caution. And that flag, if you're not familiar, the yellow is the warning flag. When you're waving it, it means you have to really slow down. There's stuff on the track. That yellow flag with the orange stripes on it means surface. Something has changed on the racing surface, and it can be anything from moisture in terms of oil, coolant, or pieces of the car, anything like that, or dirt and debris. And that's what that flag means, and it's just warning them, be aware of that.
Yeah, for sure. It's such an important factor in racing to have that information. But for Mark Clennon, the car has looked a little bit on edge all day long. And if you drop a wheel turning through turn 3, Greg, you're running that rim shot all the way out. You drop a wheel, your heart still got some steering input in the car. It'll spit you across the racetrack.
Absolutely, and the marshals here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park are absolutely superb. On top of it immediately, we are under a full course caution. Right now, under caution, Aschenbach, James, and Robinson lead overall. It is Courtney Roberts and Drew Stavely in GTSA.
That could be a big one, mate. Hope he's okay.
So this is going to change things up. A 16-second margin for those guys up front disappears. And it's talking about that factor on it. Obviously, that was a big impact. Certainly looking forward to hearing Mark Clennon being okay. We'll let you know on that as we can. But for the guys that have been taking some out of their tires, this is a welcome break.
Yes, yeah, so it's always the management factor you have to have in the back of your mind. If there is a reset that you haven't just used all of the goodness, the sweetness out of those Pirelli P0s and have something to fend off anyone who's on the attack at the end of these races. There's a big impact for Mark Clennon. We're certainly hopefully everything is okay. Those cars are built extremely strong, but turn 3, high-speed section of the racetrack, have been fully committed probably, and my guess is that he was just dropped the left side wheels as he was exiting there and just lost the rear end. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, it's just one of the challenges here. I remember it was last year, I think, the R Ferry Motorsport Ferrari in the GT category. Alex Riberas had a similar incident.
There he is.
Mark out,
oh,
walking
that's awesome.
back. That is the best news of all.
Yeah, that's great news.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you, this certainly highlights the slings and fortunes of racing, doesn't it? A win yesterday.
First win.
Standing on top of the podium, the champagne, and that joyful look, and then this. That's just how the sport works sometimes.
And at this racetrack, we talked about it in terms of the track analysis, Greg. I mean, it is high speed, it is daunting, and if you make a mistake, there's a lot more runoff area in certain corners, like turn 1, turn 2, down into turn 5. But there's certain corners where you're still very close proximity to something hard.
And these corners, if you just look at them in terms of radius, it's like, well, that's a tight corner, turn 3. The problem is it just goes on forever, and you carry huge speed all the way through it.
You do, and you maintain steering, but you're still turning even when you get to that curbing. Do you know what I mean? So it's like the curbing almost needs to start a little bit earlier there if you do run a bit wide. But you're still turning, and if you suddenly just drop that left rear and it hooks on you, you're across the racetrack.
Yeah, I remember when we came here in the ALMS days, was it 2007 in the P2 era when those Porsche Spyders and the Acuras, one of the Acura engineers said, Craig, you got to see this. It showed me a data map that was purely throttle and brake, nothing else. And the track presented like it had 3 corners.
Yeah.
I mean, this place is something.
Yeah, it's amazing.
One of the great things, too, we talked about it at the very top of the show, that when you come through that tunnel, you do step back in time in terms of the track itself. And these drivers recognize that. When they get on this track, they know they're sitting on the same pavement that Jackie Ickx won in the Brabham in the rain here in 1969 in the Canadian Grand Prix. And so many great events that have unfolded here. And that just kind of gets the hair up on the arm a little bit. And you're like, this is pretty hallowed ground.
It gets you attention. As Carl Robinson said, he used to be intimidated by Road Atlanta, not anymore. I came here for the very first time back in 1987 to race Formula Atlantics. I didn't know the racetrack. Tony Tracy, Paul Tracy's dad, said if you want to come up and do a few laps in Paul's Formula 4 2000 car, come and do it. It had been raining for several days. The track was really filthy dirty. I went into turn 2 on my 3rd lap ever. Just got a little bit wide on turn in. There's a lot of silt across the road. Went for a ride across the grass that there was there for the runoff. Hit the tires lightly, but it spooked me for the week.
Yeah, I can imagine.
My team was like, what's wrong with the race car? I said, there is nothing wrong with the race car. It's all in my head. We came back for a strong result on the weekend, but it took me like 2 days of solid running to get back in the game.
I can understand that completely. I remember Dorsey Schrader back in the Trans Am days when he was working with me, and he made the comment about, he said, when you go off there too, you go off, and it's seriously off. And I went, sounds like you're talking from personal experience. And he went, oh yeah, Greg. He said, I don't remember what year it was. He said, I went off there so deep. And I went, okay, I'll bite. How deep? And he said, well, they wanted 25 Canadian to let me back into the paddock. So this place has got tremendous stories and full of legend, no question about that. And again, you see the response equipment there, and it is absolutely great to see Mark get out, walk over. And any impact like that, he's going to have a mandatory visit to the medical center just to get checked out. But he is certainly was able to walk over there. So we appreciate that. I want to say a big thanks to the folks from BMW. We have a BMW M5 as our emergency medical response vehicle with a great crew that are all part of that effort right there, along with the great staff here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park and the emergency vehicle program that they have here. And they effect cleanups awfully quickly, and it looks like they may already be almost done with that, Cal.
Yes. Fortunately, it's an area of the racetrack, as you can see, we don't really see any circuit damage as such. It's just been a question of getting that McLaren loaded up on the flatbed. Obviously, first things first, making sure Mark is okay, getting him safely transported. And we should see some good time on the clock here for green flag action to the checkered flag.
There goes that BMW M5. Thanks again. And you can see where one of our guys was over out by the wall. And one of the things you're going to look at whenever there's impact with a wall, when it's a wall built with K-rails and the like, they will look at it to make sure there's not a leading edge that was created by the car impacting it, meaning that you could hit it and there's an edge that you would hit into, and it just kind of is like a can opener. And they've looked it over, said everything is good, and just a tremendous job by the CTMP EV crews here to get this this cleanup done as fast as it is. We still might just have time for some real good racing.
Big problem is a quick turnaround for Lime Rock next week.
Yes,
so looking at
that's
that
tough.
McLaren, it's going to be tough to get that one fixed. I'm not sure if he has a backup plan.
Tell you, I mean, he was obviously, that car was not where he wanted it, and he was driving it as hard as he possibly could to stay in it. So you got to give him pretty good props for being willing. I mean, that slide through turn 2 was that's going to make the highlight reel for a while, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
Getting a wave through, a wave by done here to get the field situated, and then we should be able to go back to green in fairly short order. So we're going to pause here, and we will come back and as we continue to build our CBS Sports Network show. Stay with us. Welcome back, everybody. Continuing under the full course caution. However, the Canadian Motorsports Park EV crews have done a fabulous job, and we look forward to going back to green fairly soon. It's had a nice shot there of the Global Motorsports Group CrowdStrike Audi of George Kurtz, last year's GTSA champion, and he once again has brought CrowdStrike to the Pirelli World Challenge, but has done so on an even greater level.
Nothing happens in life without a team. And so with Pirelli World Challenge, our team's comprised of the manufacturers who make the cars, the fans who watch the race series, our own group of people who put on the race series. But at the end of the day, none of that happens without the sponsors that help put it together and the racers that are driving the cars.
If you can win and realize that it's a team sport, it's not just the driver that's winning, it's actually the team that wins. It's really gratifying.
You don't get in a race car today without a tremendous level of computing power. How is that driver steering? How is that driver braking? What's happening around them? What's the track conditions? How hot is the asphalt? What is the tire temperatures? All that information is being fed in, and they're downloading that information, and they're then making their judgment systems about what to do. Well, we're going to need to see all the specifications from those vehicles. We're going to need to make sure that those vehicles are within specification, and then the results of them driving on track, how are we doing? I can't carry around terabits of storage with me when I'm in a mobile truck. So I've got to be able to go to the cloud to get that. That's an area that, from the federal government to every other credit card company out there, they're being assaulted. I need the best protection possible. That's why we chose CrowdStrike. We're very happy to work with them as a partner.
In racing, you have to take care of the little things, and the little things add up to big lap time. And it's just like in the real world, the small things that you do to build your product, to build your company, to build your culture, actually add up to a winning formula and happy customers.
This is a company that has got blue chip level and government level companies that are making decisions to choose and work with them. That made our decision really easy.
Well, this is the Pirelli World Challenge, and CrowdStrike, that is a global company that can affect and protect so very much, and it's great to have George here in bringing the security to everybody who uses data in the cloud, to everybody running in this championship. Plus, it's a pretty fine talent in his own right.
He really is. He's very much on top of his game. Last year when he ran that McLaren, we saw that McLaren just have the incident. George was running a similar machine last year, took it to 9 victories, including 8 in a row, to clinch the title.
Well, it's interesting. He started for the second day in a row way at the back today, but he has fought his way up now into the top 15. Had a chance to talk to him this morning, and he said early in the race yesterday, we taped over a couple of things because we thought it was going to be cooler than it was. The car started to overheat. It kept kicking into limp mode. He said, and it did it when I was in traffic a few times, which was spooky. And he said, so I finally had to pit, yank the tape off. Car ran great, but we were so far back at this point. This yellow was a great reset. It's exactly what he needed.
I think the manufacturers like to call it engine preservation mode.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, limp mode. Sounds better than limp mode. I give you that. So, we'll go with that from now on. See, the lights are out on the safety car, so we should be going back to green here. Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, this 4th round of the Pirelli World Challenge GTS Championship, part of the Pirelli World Challenge Grand Prix at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Victoria Day Speed Fest, all part of Victoria Day weekend. And it doesn't matter what the weather's like, the crowd here is always phenomenal. And the reason is they know and love their racing, and they know something special might be about to begin here, Cal.
Yeah, and I think Ian James is wondering about something special for Lawson Oschenbach on this restart. You can see he's gapped the pace car. When does he go?
He's in the acceleration zone, so it's up to him. He can go whenever he wants, really.
There he goes.
There it is, yep.
Gar Robinson has gone with him. He's gapped Buford a little bit. Buford now accelerating down this front straightaway. The fourth car in line.
Down into turn 1.
There he is.
When you got to be careful on these restarts because this is such fast territory.
Gar really wide there through turn 1. Maybe just to keep those tires clean under this caution. He's wide again. Buford trying to take advantage there. Going to be careful. They're going to be really close as they exit turn 1 there, turn 2. Brake zone for 3, settling back in.
And again under the caution.
Ooh, it was tight, super tight.
Cuts back on him. Now he's gonna try and do it around the outside. See what Gar does, and he's got to give it up at that point. But that bit of side-by-side now has let those two guys up front with the opportunity. That's why Jade wanted by.
Yeah, he really did. I mean, he just got to try and get that track position. But we talk about the confidence in Gar Robinson. He doesn't want to give it up easy. And this is a man who's won Trans Am titles. He's not going to be taken lightly. Now he's found his feet in this form of competition.
And look at Harry Gottsacker now. That caution, what he needed. He's now in front of the entire GTSA field. That is Courtney leading in that 99. And so Gottsacker now, this is on the prowl and looking for positions here in that red sim.
Well, Jay Buford, he is hungry. He wants that podium run here. He's putting the pressure on Gar Robinson. Sofronis there settling in. Our overall leader in the GTS Championship, trying to chase down Lawson Aschenbach, who leads in the sprint form of competition we're in here today.
And this Mustang is one of the cars that with the BOP is a little light in terms of straight line, which means you have to wheel it. It's so good in the corners, but when you have to wheel it that hard in the corners, you can take a lot out of the tires. And this yellow has given those Pirelli P0s a little bit more life, and Jade wants to do something.
Oh, he looks to the inside. Buford looks to the inside on Robinson. They headed down into turn 3. Gar Robinson is just running super wide. Now they're side by side again on the run down towards turn 4.
See if he can do it. This is where they were last time. He's a little farther alongside.
Has to give it up.
Oh, or does he? He's going to try it, Cal.
That is beautiful racing. Oh, and he has to give it up. Wow, that is hard to do there because the car gets really light and then compresses. So easy to lock up there. Beautiful driving by Jay Buford and great aggressive driving there by Gar Robinson, wanting to hang on to that podium position.
That's judging and calculating and making changes inches away from a competitor at big speed. That's amazing.
That really is. It's really tricky. Once you commit down to the inside for Moss Corner, it's really hard to tuck it back in and not have contact with the car in front of you. Hats off to Jay Buford keeping it clean.
I'll tell you what, even though these guys have been side by side a few times, their speed is such that they're having James Sofronis fade a little bit in the mirrors. Right now, Jade, I think, is pushing Gar to some new levels.
He really is, and he's enjoying it. I mean, if you can drive quickly here, this will gain in confidence, not just for this weekend, but the whole championship season.
Looking back at the battles in GTSA.
Staveley's got around Roberts there.
Yep.
Can he chase down Jeff Courtney, Roberts' teammate here for the win?
Boy, for Staveley, this is huge because you've still got Tony Gables has been shuffled a little bit, sits back in 5th. So huge opportunity here, and Headland at 6th.
Calvert having a brilliant day up to the 4th position. Look at this, Staveley's all over Courtney now as they exit turn 3.
See if he can do anything here, attacking. You might see something down into turn 5. That Jeanette is so nimble. If Staveley can get in deep on the brakes, not going to happen there. Look for the exit of turn 5. What kind of drive? The Maserati should have the advantage as they accelerate up the hill. And as they do and it settles a little bit, we're going to step away for just a moment here from a great race unfolding Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Wow, we've got great battles everywhere, Cal. This is fabulous stuff. Robinson and Buford, that battle for 3rd right there. And Jade, boy, he thought about it. I think he's looking, isn't he? He's hunting. Where can I maybe do something?
He can, and you see that Mercedes slipping and sliding a little bit. I think some of that is just Gar's driving style. We talked about the transition over to one of these GT4 machines from a Trans Am machine. He's used to higher horsepower and just slipping and sliding the car a little bit more, and he's now using that to decent effect here. Through turn 2 there, he just gets a little bit wide there. He runs that much wider line through the middle of the corner than does Jade Buford.
Fierce battling continuing everywhere here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park in round 4 of the Pirelli World Challenge GTS Championship. This the battle for third overall and in pro. And Gar Robinson, a rookie at this track, a rookie in this series, he and Jade Buford are having an absolutely fabulous race. And what a great look through Moss.
That was an awesome view of those two guys going at it, just trying to get on the power early for the exit. And that'll determine your terminal speed up the Mario Andretti straightaway. Not really straight, just kind of gives you the kinks to defend with.
Yeah, the Mario Andretti sweeps might be a little bit better, just bends and climbs for better part of a mile. Then into this turn, turn 8, you just barely slow down through here, don't you?
Yeah, you just down one gear and then back on it. High-speed section of the racetrack, then you need really good transition here. You need the car to change direction quickly to set up for this critical final corner and onto this front stretch.
Well, we talked about Jade Buford and that caution maybe helping these Pirelli P0s. He certainly looks racy, Pilar. What are you hearing down in pit lane?
So I did talk with Carl Willen from Buford's team. He said, we're straight, we're much faster around the corners. We're just trying to find that straightaway to overtake Gar.
Yep, that's been the strength of that car. It is so good in the corners. And Gar running wide. He's feeling the pressure, but he's drawn away from Buford a little bit.
He has, but he's got to be careful. There are track limits that are going to be enforced around this racetrack, so he might catch a warning for that. Once you get all 4 wheels over the other side of the white line or the curb, you're going to be looked at. Look at this. Shane Lewis has come. Oh, little twitch there by Sofronis. Nice job by Shane Lewis there in adjusting his speed in a very critical corner. Woo!
Boy, you saw that wiggle, then you saw a big chunk of tire marble fly off, and obviously you're getting buildup and the like, and suddenly Lewis has dropped back. Here comes Gottsacker.
Gottsacker with a brilliant run there as Shane is regrouping, and that has taken the pressure off James Sofronis, who runs in that 5th position right now.
And he has to tuck back in. Then there's Stavely, the GTSA leader, and then the battle behind Stavely right now between Courtney Roberts and Preston Calvert is absolutely furious as well.
Stavely has gotten around Courtney here, so Janetta leads right now. This is huge for our championship leader in GTSA. Courtney and Roberts fill out the podium right now. Calvert in the 4th position. He's not far off a podium run here today. There is the battle up front between Lawson Aschenbach and Preston Calvert's teammate Ian James. It's been right at about 3 or 4 tenths. It's now down to a couple of tenths when they crossed the line the last time. So it is game on, but knowing where Lawson Aschenbach got the lead of this race is going to be tough for Ian James to make a move.
Yeah, absolutely. Lawson was able to carry all that speed in turn 8. And both of them have had sort of a reset on these Pirelli P0s. Remarkable tires. We saw that play out in the GT race yesterday, just what these Pirelli P0s could take in terms of abuse. But James actually got a nice run out of Moss.
He really did, and I think Lawson there was really compromising Moss corner. He doesn't want to make a mistake there. Just charge the corner, open up the door, because Ian is close enough to pounce. So Lawson's just saying, hit my marks and rely on the power and the acceleration of this Camaro up the straightaway. Very similar engine power plants and slightly different restrictor size.
2:08.9. And turn 10, 2 minutes to go. So this lap and one more, I would think.
Yep, should be 2 laps to go. Ian James putting the pressure on, and you'd have to think for Lawson Aschenbach, if James gets too feisty, Lawson has to think about the big picture, which he's so good at.
Yes.
In terms of James is really not in the championship fight at the moment, but we saw the charge that he put on last year through the summer, so you got to be wondering about that too. If I give him points here today and he suddenly goes on a streak, suddenly he could be fighting me for that championship lead in a couple of months.
Yeah, it's sort of a tightrope, isn't it? What do you do? And, you know, obviously for Lawson, the easy solution is just win the thing. But Ian James doesn't necessarily make that an easy solution.
Watch down here in Moss again. Watch down through Moss. He's a little bit wide there.
Yep.
So he's feeling the heat, but right now he doesn't want to charge this corner. See him somewhat more in the middle of the road. He doesn't want to open up the door there, and I think that's really compromising his exit speed right there. He's kind of 2 corners back, thinking, do not make a mistake here. Just focus on hitting my mark, and then relying on the acceleration up this straightaway. But James is super close, as is Buford on guard.
You can't even, he can barely see James in the mirrors because he's so close to the back here. Just incredibly close. As you can see, Buford making the attack, but up front, Ian James up into turn 8 and 9. He was so close to see what happens here. And when we get back to watching Lawson, keep an eye on the right rear tire, Cal. Twice now, I thought I've seen little puffs of smoke. May have been just a reflection. But as the white flag comes out last lap, Lawson was able to hang on up into turn 8 and 9, but watch that right rear on occasion here.
What does Ian James have in his bag of tricks? What can he lay out there on the final lap? Can he surprise Lawson? Does he know somewhere on this racetrack where Lawson is vulnerable?
Yeah. Lawson opens it up just there, right there. Did you see that?
Yeah. Heavy loads here through these sections of the racetrack. Sometimes if you got the car a little bit softer, you get a little bit more body roll, body lean. And we'll get a little bit of tire rub on the fender, inner fender with the tires. Lawson hits his mark that time through the apex of 4. If he's clean through here, it should be game over.
And that was nice. And he had just enough heading through 4 that time that he knew he didn't have to compromise up into 5. So we're on it here. There's Buford, has not been able to get around Robinson as of yet. So these two battles, and there's plenty here to be following, but up the hill we go. Last lap, up into turn 8.
And that final corner has been a popular place to surprise someone on the final lap. But look at this. Lawson stretches that. He's got a nice gap there. James chasing hard. Couple of corners to go. Does he try and force it down into the final turn? No.
He thought about it. You can see Lawson placed the car over a little bit. James getting a nice run out of 10. He's going to look to the inside, but Lawson had enough. And in the GTS Sprint Championship, Lawson Aschenbach remains undefeated, a 4th straight win. I guess that's how you win 5 championships, don't you?
And immediately thinking, going out there, picking up the marbles. These cars have to pass technical inspection. Ride height is one of them, so you can kind of snowball those tires a little bit. Great day.
Yep, he is the consummate professional, isn't he? Something special indeed. Everybody out there cheering him. That was a great battle. Ian James. Robinson hanging on for 3rd, Buford 4th, and Sofronis 5th. In GTSA, Stavely, Courtney, and Roberts. It stayed right there, and some serious props here again to Preston Calvert, who ran those guys down after that restart and was just a second off. Great battles everywhere on this track, and we'll be back to hear from our winners. Some contact. Turn 2 and somebody else in turn 10 is not any. Thank you. Welcome back to Canadian Tire Motorsport Park in pit lane as Lawson Aschenbach brings the beautiful Black Dog Speed Shop Camaro down to emerge from the car and celebrate yet another win, 4th on the season, Cal.
It's incredible, and this was a tough one. Totally different day to yesterday. He took off yesterday from everyone, but Ian James hung tough, but didn't have enough to get around in 4 for 4. An amazing start to the year.
You always see him get out of the car and just give a little love to the hood of that Camaro. He loves driving that machine, and what a season he is putting together here. Just fantastic stuff, as we said, the consummate pro. That look right there when he jumped off, though, it's almost like he went, I can't believe this is happening. Just that moment of pause about, really?
Yeah, this car was just hooked up this weekend. I mean, just he was on it. He looked feisty. He qualified 3rd in the wet qualifying session. You could see immediately from the language of the car yesterday, he wanted to get to the lead. He believed he had the best car out there, was frustrated with qualifying, and he made it stick here in both races.
He did indeed, and helmet off, earplugs out. Pilar is right there.
Lawson, congratulations. 2 wins on the same track, back-to-back What is it about this track and this car that was able to keep Ian off of you?
Well, first off, I've got a Chevrolet Camaro, so that's the reason we won this race today. We've been fast here year in and year out, and I think it's a testament to everybody at Chevrolet, everybody at Pratt & Miller, Black Dog Speed Shop. They give me a great car every time we're here, and I said it yesterday too, but this track means a lot to us. I mean, this is Ron Fellows' track, big Chevrolet guy, so we're really happy to have a Camaro back on top of the podium. And Ian, I mean, he was running me hard. I mean, he jumped me on the start. I don't know what that start was, and he pulled in front of me and took off, so I don't know what was going on there. But luckily I was able to get him back and hold him off because he was clearly the quicker car, but I just had to put my car in the right spots and hold him back. So really happy for a double. We just got to keep this rolling.
Thanks, Lawson.
Thank you.
Yeah, clearly the quickest car. Ian James' fast lap was something on the order of 4 100ths. Quicker than Aschenbach's.
And Lawson's mine, that's clear.
That's clear. Here's a look at the results here. And, again, just a great battle for third. Gar Robinson, a podium. First time here, first time driving these kind of cars this season. That's just remarkable.
Yeah, congratulations to that young man. He hang tough there, particularly on the restart. Looked like his car didn't come to life. I'm not sure if he kept tire temp or got some dirt on the tires, but either way, Buford put him under tremendous pressure, and he withstood that pressure and hung on for his first podium of the year.
And let's take a look now at our VP Racing Fuels Hard Charger Award winner. And what a story this was. Drew Stavely coming from deep in the starting grid back in 17th, up 12 spots to finish 8th overall and win the GTSA category. And since he won GTSA, that means a visit with Pilar.
Yes, guys, I am here with the winner, Drew Stavely. Congratulations. Big win for you on a hairy track. You just came out of nowhere and got the win. Tell us how that went down.
Yeah, we had a little bit of a rough day yesterday, and this track is awesome. It's my first time here. Big thanks to my team for giving us an awesome car. Ian and Zach did a killer job. G3, everyone. Big thanks to everyone. And we just took it to the front today. I mean, I don't know how many cars we got to pass, but it was awesome. These are the days that you really dream for, and it was so much fun.
Thanks so much. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I mean, it was an absolutely beautiful drive that he put together, just a tremendous charge. Still had enough left to be able to go for the battle when he got up through all those other cars as we take a look at the results here. And the win he was able to put together with a bit of a margin, too. I mean, that's a statement.
It really was. It was a brilliant drive. Great weekend for JCR. I mean, 3 podium results over the two races here, and Jeff Courtney, a great run. He'll be frustrated not to get that first victory, but it was so close. Maybe his time will come at the next round.
Absolutely. Preston Calvert, a great run up into 4th, and Tony Gaples hanging right in there. George Kurtz, by the way, in that CrowdStrike GMG Audi. Great run for him today when they solved that cutout issue on that car, and he was able to march up. Let's take a look at the points right now, and obviously in the sprint category overall, it's Lawson Aschenbach is just piling them on here. But the interesting thing was Safronis back in 5th. That overall combined is closing up just a little bit. It's getting interesting.
It really is. And Aschenbach realizes this is a different championship. Yeah, the intensity and the depth of the competition, he's got to keep getting these big wins.
Yeah, with Gaples in 5th, Hedlund back in 7th, and Stavely winning that margin, which had shrunk to 3, opening up again. So it's a good day for Drew Stavely as well. So that's going to wrap things up here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. But I'll tell you, in a week, everybody heads just a little bit farther east and a little bit south of here to Connecticut and Lime Rock Park. Back to Sprint X category racing on the Bull Ring, Cal.
Yeah, it was equally intense, but in a very different way. Short track racing at its best. Add in that pit stop where you're going to basically lose a lap in Sprint X competition. Everyone's minds will be smoking right now in terms of getting that strategy correct.
And that's where the strategists earn their bucks, sitting on top of the pit wall. So that wraps things up here. Thanks so much for joining us. For Calvin and for Pilar and our entire CBS Sports Network crew, I'm Greg Creamer in association with WC Vision. This has been a presentation of CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of CBS Sports.